Hey, y'all. So, I know y'all done heard Tory Lanez appeal has been denied. This will be my final reading on the Tory Lanez Meg the Stallion case. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. I wrote down some questions on my piece of paper, and we're going to go through them. And we're going to make this really, really quick. So, we want to know what happens next. His appeal was denied. What happens next with Tory Lanez? What happens next with Tory Lanez? What happens next? Okay, so this is basically like a painful emotional place for him right now. Um, he feels like he's hit his rock bottom, and at this point, he wants to retreat, rest, and even though he will continue to defend himself in some kind of way and try to form a new plan, right now he's more worried about balancing his energy and moving forward. He will reevaluate his attorneys, but ultimately, right now, he's just going to give up for the moment. Okay. What was the real motive behind Diana London and Rep Luna taking on and publicizing this case? What was the real reason? What was their motive? Like, why did they do the whole website 36 hours later? Why did they take on this case? What was their motive? And their reasoning? Like, what was the reason? So, their intention actually started off really wanting to help him. But they also did see the B side of things where they felt like this would be a high profile case that could professionally catapult their name to be more well known. This was a mix of like public recognition, um, high profileness, and creating an image for their own individual names. So I won't say that they completely didn't want to help him because they did to some extent, but this tied into a lot of the political notoriety that they were looking for. Okay. Will the California Supreme Court accept Tory's appeal if he files? Will the California Supreme Court accept Tory Lanez's appeal if he decides to file? So I get a no. I get that while the case details, okay, are being intentionally overlooked, certain parts of this case is being intentionally overlooked, okay? Certain parts of this case is being intentionally overlooked, okay? Um the real fact of the matter is that his lawyers have not well prepared this case. There will have to be a lot more preparation to overcome the trickery that he's kind of ran into with the politics and the behind the sceneness of what's going on with his case. They would have to be more strategic, i.e., they cannot make these things public. It creates an atmosphere where people can bring the vibration down. Sometimes silence is the best answer. You've exposed the corruptness. Now, what is your next move? How do we make it believable? You have to have it in black and white. And I don't see the attorneys that he currently has right now being able to do that. Okay? Will Tory Lanez come home sooner than 2029, which is his projected parole eligibility? Okay? Will he come home sooner than 2029? So I get a no. Even though there is this big hope that he has a lot of hope, a lot of manifestations, right? I don't see him being allowed to come home. It's too much tension around this case, too much chaoticness around this case. I don't see him being able to come home before 2029, just because of all this trickery that goes on. However, you guys will see an increase in support of him. We will see more support. People will start supporting Tory Lanez a lot more out loud. Okay? Y'all got questions wrote down. Okay. And then we're gonna ask it again. Did Tory Lanez shoot at Meg the Stallion? We're gonna ask this again. I get a no. I'm going to say that. The card suggests that he is more guilty of hurting someone's feelings, disappointing them feeling wise, than anything. But I got to know, he did not shoot at Meg the Stallion. Okay? And last but not least, will Tory Lanez ever come out and tell the full truth of what happened that night? So I get a no, not quickly. This situation has really taken a toll on him. He is still somewhat in shock that his life has transpired this fastly. He is severely heartbroken behind what has taken place. He feels like his whole life has shifted. He is in a place of denial and shock. He feels like Meg the Stallion refuses to acknowledge how wrong she is in this situation. And he is focused on moving forward, okay? He's focused on moving forward. However, he will eventually come out and give a full, detailed interview on what happened. Again, I will not be reading on this anymore. This has gone on for 5 years. We got to move on, okay? But we stand with Tory Lanez. I support him, and I really pray that things work out for him. Love and light.